The bitter wind cut through the parking lot like glass as Daniel zipped up his worn jacket and hurried toward the mall entrance. His phone buzzed, another email from work, another client demanding something yesterday, but he silenced it, tucking it back in his pocket. It was just another Tuesday. Another day to keep his head down and go through the motions. Until he saw her. She sat cross-legged near the sliding doors, a battered paper cup in her hands. Her coat was threadbare, her hair tangled from the cold wind, but Daniel froze because he knew that face. It was Emily. The Emily who once lit up every room she walked into. The Emily who laughed at his dumb jokes, who danced with him under street lamps after their high school prom, who whispered at midnight that they'd figure life out together. The Emily who left one morning without saying goodbye. He hadn't seen her in 8 years. And here she was, a beggar outside a mall. Daniel stood rooted to the spot, torn between disbelief and a strange ache deep in his chest. People passed by without looking at her. Some even sneered. But Emily kept her eyes low, her hands shaking as she held the cup out. He thought about walking past. Pretending he didn't see. Pretending she didn't matter anymore. But something stopped him. He crouched down, just out of her sight line, and said softly, "Emily." Her head shot up, her eyes wide, still that piercing green he remembered, though now dulled by hardship. "Daniel," she whispered, her lips trembling. She tried to hide her face, to turn away, but he gently touched her arm. What happened?" Tears welled in her eyes, spilling over as she let out a shaky breath. I messed up," she said. "I thought I could do it on my own. I left because I didn't want to drag you down. I thought I'd make it big in the city, but everything fell apart. I lost everything." Her voice cracked. "I didn't even have the guts to call home. And now here I am." Daniel swallowed hard, his own eyes stinging. All those years he'd hated her. All those nights he'd lain awake wondering what he'd done wrong. And now he saw her, not as the girl who left him, but as a person who'd been broken and beaten by life, and who still somehow held herself together enough to sit here, asking for help with nothing but a cup and a whisper. Something shifted in him. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. Slipped out a few bills, more than a few, and pressed them into her hand. But he didn't stop there. "Come on," he said, offering his other hand. She looked at him, confused. "Let me take you to dinner," he said, forcing a smile through the lump in his throat. "It's freezing out here. And then, we'll figure something out. Together." She stared at his outstretched hand like it was a lifeline. And slowly, she took it. That night, over a warm meal in a quiet diner, she told him everything. The dreams she'd chased. The job she'd lost. The people who'd taken advantage of her kindness. And Daniel just listened, holding her hand across the table, his heart breaking and mending all at once. When she finally broke down and sobbed into his shoulder, he didn't tell her it was okay. He didn't tell her to stop crying. He just held her, the way he wished someone had held him when she left. And in that moment, he realized, this was what love was. Not just the dancing under street lamps. Not just the whispered promises. But being there when it was hard. Picking someone up when they'd fallen so low they couldn't even look you in the eye. He drove her to a motel that night, paid for a week in advance, and promised to come back tomorrow with groceries and a plan. As he left, he glanced back and saw her standing in the doorway, her eyes shining, not with shame anymore, but with something closer to hope. And for the first time in years, Daniel smiled as he stepped into the cold. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are the ones who need us the most. And sometimes, choosing kindness over resentment doesn't just change their life, it saves ours, too. Heartfelt. Genuine. And a reminder that no one is beyond redemption, as long as someone still believes in them.